In 2009, Kawhi Leonard was ranked the 56th best player in his high school class by ESPN. At the time, scouts questioned his ball handling, his shooting consistency, and whether he had the polish to succeed as a perimeter player at the next level. He was seen as a strong rebounder and defender, but few believed he'd ever become a star. Fast forward to today, and it's clear that Kawhi Leonard didn't just meet expectations, he completely obliterated them. He's become a two-time NBA champion, a two-time Finals MVP, a Defensive Player of the Year, and one of the most dominant two-way forces the game has ever seen. His quiet demeanor, methodical scoring, and suffocating defense have made him one of the most respected and feared players of his generation. It's safe to say some scouts completely misjudged Kawhi Leonard's potential coming out of high school. But in order for the scouts to underrate Kawhi Leonard, they had to have overrated plenty of players ranked ahead of him. So in today's video, we're going to take a deep dive and see what exactly happened to the 55 players ranked higher than Kawhi Leonard. Let's break it down. The first ranked player in the class of 2009 was Avery Bradley. Bradley carved out a strong NBA career as a defensive-minded guard. He played over a decade in the league, winning a championship with the Lakers in 2020 and earning all defensive honors during his prime years with the Boston Celtics. The second-ranked player in the class of 2009 was Derek Favors. Favors was a steady big man in the NBA for years. Drafted third overall in 2010, he played over a decade, mainly with the Utah Jazz, known for his rebounding and interior defense, though he never became a true star. The third-ranked player in the class of 2009 was Xavier Henry. Henry was a one-and-done at Kansas and became a lottery pick. He had flashes early in his NBA career with Memphis and the Lakers, but injuries derailed his potential and eventually he faded out of the league after a few seasons. The fourth-ranked player in the class of 2009 was DeMarcus Cousins. Cousins was one of the best big men of his generation at his peak. A four-time NBA All-Star, he averaged 20 points and 10 rebounds multiple seasons before injuries, especially an Achilles tear, cut short his prime. The fifth-ranked player in the class of 2009 was John Wall. Wall was the number one pick in 2010 and became a five-time NBA All-Star. He was one of the fastest point guards the league had ever seen, but injuries severely limited the second half of his career. The sixth-ranked player in the class of 2009 was John Henson. Henson was a first-round pick and carved out a solid career as a rim protector. He spent most of his time with the Milwaukee Bucks, averaging around 7 points and 5 rebounds over nearly a decade in the NBA. The seventh-ranked player in the class of 2009 was Renardo Sidney. Sidney struggled with eligibility and weight issues throughout college at Mississippi State. He never played a game in the NBA despite his immense talent, and became a cautionary tale about wasted potential. The eighth-ranked player in the class of 2009 was Jordan Hamilton. Hamilton had a brief NBA career after playing at Texas. Drafted in the first round, he bounced around teams like Denver and Houston, but never found a consistent role, ultimately moving overseas to continue his basketball career. The ninth-ranked player in the class of 2009 was Kenny Boynton Jr. Despite a strong college career at Florida, Boynton never made it to the NBA. He played professionally overseas, carving out successful careers in countries like Israel, China, and Turkey. The 10th-ranked player in the class of 2009 was Mason Plumlee. Plumlee became a reliable NBA center known for his passing and athleticism. Drafted in the first round, he played for teams like the Nets, Nuggets, and Hornets, serving mostly as a high-end backup or occasional starter. The 11th-ranked player in the class of 2009 was Keith Gallen. Gallen had a brief college career at Oklahoma but struggled with conditioning issues. He went undrafted and never played in the NBA, instead spending time playing overseas and in the NBA G League. The 12th-ranked player in the class of 2009 was Lance Stephenson. Stephenson carved out a memorable NBA career as an energetic, unpredictable guard. Best known for his time with the Indiana Pacers and for blowing in LeBron's ear during a playoff game, he was a tough, physical player who could occasionally take over games. The 13th ranked player in the class of 2009 was Daniel Orton. Orton was a late first-round NBA draft pick after a short stint at Kentucky. He had a very brief NBA career, bouncing between teams and struggling with injuries and consistency before eventually playing overseas. The 14th ranked player in the class of 2009 was Abdul Gadi. Gadi was a highly touted point guard at Washington, but he never made it to the NBA. He built a solid pro career overseas and in the G League, known for his court vision and leadership at the point guard position. The 15th ranked player in the class of 2009 was Wallace Judge. Judge started his college career at Kansas State before transferring to Rutgers. He never reached the NBA and spent his professional basketball career playing overseas in various leagues. The 16th ranked player in the class of 2009 was Dante Taylor. Taylor played college basketball at Pittsburgh but never developed into the star many expected. After college, he never made it to the NBA and played briefly in lower-level professional leagues overseas. The 17th ranked player in the class of 2009 was Ryan Kelly. Kelly became a stretch big man at Duke and was drafted into the NBA by the Lakers. He played a few seasons as a role player, mainly known for his three-point shooting, before moving to continue his career overseas. The 18th ranked player in the class of 2009 was Muftau Yaru. Yaru played 4 years at Villanova, where he was a solid contributor. He never made it to the NBA and instead went on to have a long professional career playing internationally, particularly in France. The 19th ranked player in the class of 2009 was Dominic Cheek. Cheek played at Villanova but never quite lived up to his high school hype. He went undrafted and never played in the NBA, opting to play professionally overseas after college. The 20th ranked player in the class of 2009 was Alex Oriaki. Oriaki helped UConn win a national championship in 2011 before transferring to Missouri. Although he was drafted late in the second round, he never played in an NBA game and spent his pro career overseas and in the G League. The 21st ranked player in the class of 2009 was John Jenkins. Jenkins starred at Vanderbilt as an elite shooter and was drafted in the first round by the Atlanta Hawks. He had a few seasons in the NBA as a three-point specialist, bouncing between several teams before continuing his career internationally. The 22nd ranked player in the class of 2009 was Michael Snare. Snare was a clutch performer at Florida State but never made it to the NBA. Despite impressive college moments, he went undrafted and played professionally overseas, including in Italy and Russia. The 23rd ranked player in the class of 2009 was Malik Waynes. Waynes played at Villanova and had a brief stint in the NBA, suiting up for teams like the Sixers and Clippers. After limited NBA action, he transitioned to a steady professional career overseas. The 24th ranked player in the class of 2009 was Tommy Mason Griffin. Mason Griffin showed flashes at Oklahoma but left after 1 year and went undrafted. Injuries derailed his career early and he never made it to the NBA, playing only briefly in lower-tier pro leagues. The 25th ranked player in the class of 2009 was Peyton Siva. Siva became a college star at Louisville, leading them to a national championship in 2013. Drafted in the second round, he had a short NBA career with the Detroit Pistons before building a strong career overseas, especially in Germany. The 26th ranked player in the class of 2009 was Milton Jennings. Jennings played college basketball at Clemson but never fulfilled the expectations set in high school. He went undrafted and played professionally overseas but never appeared in the NBA. The 27th ranked player in the class of 2009 was Dexter Strickland. Strickland played a full 4 years at North Carolina but never made it to the NBA. He played overseas after college, spending time in places like Poland and Canada to continue his basketball career. The 28th ranked player in the class of 2009 was Elijah Johnson. Johnson was a key part of some strong Kansas teams but didn't make it to the NBA. He's played internationally since graduating, taking his talents to leagues in Europe and the Middle East. The 29th ranked player in the class of 2009 was Lorenzo Brown. Brown had a long and winding professional career, playing in the NBA for several teams, including the Timberwolves and Raptors, while also having success overseas, even winning MVP of the EuroLeague Final Four in 2023. The 30th ranked player in the class of 2009 was Noel Johnson. Johnson transferred from Clemson to Auburn during college but never found major success. He didn't make it to the NBA and played overseas for a few years before stepping away from the game. The 31st ranked player in the class of 2009 was Jameel Wilson. Wilson played college basketball at Oregon and Marquette. He made it to the NBA briefly with the Clippers during the 2017-18 season, but spent most of his professional career playing overseas and in the G League. The 32nd ranked player in the class of 2009 was Leslie McDonald. McDonald played at North Carolina, but was more of a role player than a star. He didn't make it to the NBA and spent time playing professionally overseas in countries like Israel and the Dominican Republic. The 33rd ranked player in the class of 2009 was Jamal Coombs McDaniel. Coombs McDaniel played at UConn and was part of their 2011 national championship team. He never played in the NBA, spending time playing in various lower-level professional leagues instead. The 34th ranked player in the class of 2009 was Christian Watford. Watford became famous for his iconic buzzer beater against Kentucky at Indiana. Despite a standout college career, he didn't make the NBA and pursued a pro career in the G League and overseas. The 35th ranked player in the class of 2009 was Royce White. White was a first-round NBA draft pick known for his rare size and playmaking skills. However, anxiety issues and conflicts with NBA teams derailed his career. He played only a few games in the NBA before moving into activism and alternative leagues. The 36th ranked player in the class of 2009 was David Ware. Ware, along with his twin brother, transferred from North Carolina to UCLA. He played briefly in the NBA with the Sacramento Kings and also spent time in the G League and overseas, primarily in Spain and Japan. The 37th ranked player in the class of 2009 was Travis Ware. Travis Ware followed a similar path to his brother David, transferring to UCLA. He had a few short stints in the NBA with teams like the Knicks and Lakers and built a longer career playing professionally overseas. The 38th ranked player in the class of 2009 was Eric Murphy. Murphy starred at Florida and was drafted in the second round. He played briefly in the NBA with the Chicago Bulls before spending most of his career overseas, becoming a standout in leagues across Europe and Asia. The 39th ranked player in the class of 2009 was Kyril Netyatsko. Netyatsko played at Arizona but didn't stand out enough to make the NBA. He went on to have a long international career playing in Europe and representing Ukraine in international competitions. The 40th ranked player in the class of 2009 was Thomas Robinson. Robinson became a star at Kansas and was drafted 5th overall in 2012. Although he had a few strong moments in the NBA, he bounced between several teams and never lived up to expectations, eventually moving overseas to continue his career. The 41st ranked player in the class of 2009 was Isaiah Armwood. Armwood started his college career at Villanova before transferring to George Washington. He never made the NBA but built a respectable pro career overseas, playing in countries like Hungary, Belgium, and Japan. The 42nd ranked player in the class of 2009 was Rodney Williams. Williams played at Minnesota and was known for his elite athleticism and dunking ability. He had a brief stint in the NBA with the Philadelphia 76ers before moving on to a long career in the G League and overseas. The 43rd ranked player in the class of 2009 was Durand Scott. Scott played basketball at Miami, becoming a reliable two-way guard. He didn't crack an NBA roster, but put together a solid professional career internationally, playing in places like Italy, France, and Israel. The 40th ranked player in the class of 2009 was Nolan Dennis. Dennis played at Baylor but transferred out after limited playing time. He never made it to the NBA and had a short professional career, including some stints overseas. The 45th ranked player in the class of 2009 was Aaron Dotson. Dotson played at LSU and later at Utah, but never made much noise at the college level. He went undrafted and never played in the NBA, later spending a brief time playing internationally. The 46th ranked player in the class of 2009 was DJ Richardson. Richardson was a steady contributor at Illinois, but didn't make it to the NBA. He played professionally overseas in several countries, including Finland and Poland, and carved out a respectable international career. The 47th ranked player in the class of 2009 was Dennis Kılıçlı. Kılıçlı, a native of Turkey, played at West Virginia and became a fan favorite for his physical style of play. He never made it to the NBA, but had a long pro career back in Turkey's top professional leagues. The 48th ranked player in the class of 2009 was Imfan Udofia. Udofia played point guard at Georgia Tech but didn't reach the NBA. After college, he pursued coaching and developmental roles, including working with the NBA G League systems rather than continuing as a player. The 49th ranked player in the class of 2009 was Terrell Vinson. Vinson played at UMass and was a steady contributor during his college years. He never made it to the NBA, eventually playing overseas in smaller leagues across Europe and Canada. The 50th ranked player in the class of 2009 was Karan Johnson. Johnson had eligibility issues throughout his college career and never gained much traction. He never made it to the NBA, instead spending time playing in lower divisions overseas. The 51st ranked player in the class of 2009 was Tyler Honeycutt. Honeycutt played at UCLA and was drafted in the second round by the Sacramento Kings. He had a short NBA career before moving overseas, where he became a star in Europe. Tragically, Honeycutt passed away in 2018 at just 27 years old. The 52nd ranked player in the class of 2009 was Ari Stewart. Stewart played at Wake Forest and USC, but never made it to the NBA. He spent a few years playing professionally overseas and in low-tier US basketball leagues before stepping away from the game. The 53rd ranked player in the class of 2009 was Sean Williams. Williams played at Texas but didn't make a major impact during his college career. He went undrafted, never reached the NBA, and only had a brief professional career overseas. The 54th ranked player in the class of 2009 was Solomon Hill. Hill developed into a strong role player in the NBA after a successful college career at Arizona. Drafted in the first round by the Pacers, he played for multiple teams, providing solid defense and occasional scoring off the bench across nearly a decade. The 55th ranked player in the class of 2009 was Mike Mosier. Mosier had a strong college career, especially at UNLV, but went undrafted. He never made it to the NBA, instead playing professionally overseas in countries like Israel, Lithuania, and Germany. Although Kawhi Leonard was ranked as low as 56th in the 2009 recruiting class, he easily became one of the best players, not just from his class, but of his entire generation. Despite being overlooked, he turned himself into a two-time NBA champion, two-time Finals MVP, and one of the most dominant two-way players in NBA history. Meanwhile, dozens of players ranked ahead of him failed to reach their potential, proving that high school rankings don't predict future greatness. It's safe to say there are no players from this list who are definitely better than Kawhi Leonard. In fact, the few names that had solid careers, like John Wall and DeMarcus Cousins, never reached the sustained greatness that Kawhi achieved. The craziest part, only a handful of players ranked ahead of Kawhi even lasted more than a few years in the NBA, and nearly all of them fell short of ever becoming true franchise players. Kawhi's journey from the 56th ranked high school player to one of the most decorated champions in modern NBA history is the ultimate reminder that rankings are just numbers, and what really matters is work ethic, mindset, and relentless improvement. Despite being underrated by scouts, Kawhi put in the work, evolved his game, and became an all-time great. Now, let's ask the real question. Is Kawhi Leonard up there with Steph Curry as one of the best recruiting steals of all time? Let me know what you think in the comments. And if you liked this video, you'll definitely enjoy either of the two videos right here. One about the 42 recruits ranked higher than Donovan Mitchell, and another about the 34 recruits ranked higher than Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.